Your Honor, she's just the cleaner. The prosecutor's laugh skips across the courtroom like a thrown coin, light and careless, as my gloved hand rests on the blue folder stamped Facilities Incident Report, K-17. Varnish and old paper sour the air, the buzz of the fluorescence trembles above us, and the damp grip of my nitrile glove bites into my palm as if reminding me not to let go. I don't blink when the room turns to look. I have faced messes bigger than pride. I read the judge's nameplate, Harold Keene, and watched the small, private thing his jaw does when he sees the blue stamp. His mouth tightens like a knot being pulled, and for a heartbeat, I swear he looks at the folder the way a man looks at a photograph he hoped he'd burned. The defense attorney, Miles Cutter, leans toward me and whispers, "Miss Quinn, you sure you want to do this?" And it sounds like a dare wrapped in concern. "I'm certain," I say, simple as bleach in a bucket, and shift the folder so the stamp faces the bench. K-17 is not dramatic. It is a form I fill when floors flood, or alarms misfire, or doors open when they shouldn't, and last Tuesday at midnight, the elevator dinged 13 times in an empty hall, while a man in a suit slipped into Chambers 3B after hours. My janitorial key log says I was on the lower level, 2 corridors away, so when the 3B door recorded an open at 0041, it had to be another badge. The prosecutor, Dana Wells, smirks at me like she's offering a kindness. "Chain of custody, from a mop?" she says, and some of the gallery laugh, people who have never cleaned up after someone else's story. I keep my eyes on the bench and let the question fall on the floor with the other trash. "Not from a mop," I answer, steady and plain. "From the building. I live in the building the way other people live in their heads. I know which door frames kiss cold on damp days and which vents wheeze when filters are tired. I know that camera 12 never seems to work when meetings run late in the judge's corridor, and I know that wax orders don't need a judge's initials. I also know the sound people make when they think they are alone. It is smaller and more honest than the sound they make in court. The sticky note inside my folder is the color of old lemons and says, HVAC return vent, row C, paper scrap, 9:17 p.m. I wrote it in a hallway that smelled like dust and recirculated courage, balancing on a step stool to unscrew a vent cover where a sliver of paper had lodged like a stubborn truth. I bagged it in a biohazard sleeve because that is what we use for dangerous spills, and some papers are exactly that. Dana flips a pen between her fingers and gives me the look people give when they think they've already won. "Ms. Quinn," she says, "how many years of legal training do you have?" Her voice is as sweet as a sugar packet and just as thin. I touch the folder with one finger, the nitrile tugging against the cardstock, and say, "Enough years of floors to know who walks where and when." Judge Keene leans back as if the leather could carry him out of reach. His eyes are pale glass, but they warm a little when he looks at me, the kind of warmth a man uses when he wants to calm a stray dog. It is almost gentle, and for a second it works. I remember standing with a mop handle against my shoulder at 2 a.m, listening to the elevator ding its lonely number 13, while my radio popped with static that didn't belong to me. The defense table rustles. Miles clears his throat. "Your Honor, if we could allow Ms. Quinn to proffer the basis for her incident report." He knows to put it in court words, to dress my night shift life in a suit so it can be allowed to speak. I nod once, grateful, and slide the blue folder up as if I'm feeding documents into the mouth of something that bites. The air changes, the way kitchens do when someone opens the oven and heat rolls out, and I hear the gallery settle, the small hush that means people want to hear a story. "Last Tuesday," I say, "I was assigned to lower-level sanitation, records annex. At 0041, door log 3B recorded an open. My badge was scanned in records A. I know this because my route clocked me at 0039 near the annex sink and 0042 at the stairwell to jury corridor A. I don't apologize for the numbers. Numbers are the only gossip I trust." "Isn't it true," Dana interrupts, "that badges glitch, especially old ones used by staff?" The pause is buttered with contempt. I slip the first page out. A print of the auxiliary lock report, the one maintenance calls 3B AUK, which records manual key turns, not badges. It shows a key turn at 0041. Not a badge, I say. A key. The judge moves his pen without writing. His gaze drops to the page and then flicks up to my hand. I can feel the sweat living under the glove now, the damp grip that keeps me honest. Who would have that key? Miles asks softly, but we both know the list is short. Judges, facilities, and people judges trust when they shouldn't. In my peripheral vision, I see Victor Rudd, our facilities manager, standing in the back. He looks like a man in a photograph taken before a storm. Micro reveal lives shy and then shows its face. I slide the second sheet, the wax order closeout slip, signed HK. It's a small thing, a tidy initial where no judge belongs. Judges do not sign for wax, I say, and someone in the gallery snorts before swallowing it. I do not look at Victor. I look at the bench, because the bench is where you either stand taller or shrink. That slip could be planted, Dana says quickly. These are copies, right? She sounds relieved to have found a ledge. I reach into the folder and pull the photo I took of the slip in situ, initials still wet enough to shine when the flash hit. The reflected shine is a tell. It means the ink was fresh when I saw it, not some ancient ghost pulled from a folder. I lay the photo down like a card in a game that makes men nervous. The judge breathes out through his nose, a small hoarse sound, and covers it with a cough. He tells Dana to let me finish. His voice is mild and legal, but I hear the tiny scrape behind it, the one people make when their throat has decided to close. I don't hurry. If you rush a spill, it spreads. I tell them about Camera 12, perpetually under maintenance, on nights when doors open and emails go out and things sign themselves. I tell them about the elevator diagnostics printout that listed a private code HK0419 reset at 9:17 p.m., the same minute my sticky note mentions the vent scrap. I do not tell them about the dread that climbed my spine when I unscrewed the vent and pinched the paper out, the way dust made my eyes water so I could pretend it was just dust. Dana's smile tilts flatter. Ms. Quinn, she says, are you implying ex parte contact without proof? I say, no. I am showing you a building that keeps better records than people. And then I tap the sticky note inside the folder with one blue-gloved finger. And I brought the rest. Miles shifts, caught between a grin and a warning. He knows a trap when he sees one, but he also knows public rooms deserve public truths. I can feel the room leaning toward me the way a school assembly leans toward a kid who finally stands up to talk. I remember adjusting the row C vent with the dull coin I keep in my pocket for stubborn screws, the little song the metal sang when it gave, and the way the paper's torn edge showed the start of a header, X-Par, with a signature tail like DW trailing off. Some names write themselves. Your Honor, Dana says briskly, seeing the shape of the thing. If there are, sanitation complaints, perhaps facilities can address them rather than... She tries to pivot me back into a closet. It's a fine trick until someone refuses to stand there. I talk about the 0041 auxiliary key turn again, because repetition makes grooves that catch wheels. I talk about hearing dress shoes on marble when the schedule says only socks should be worn. I talk about the silence a door makes when someone is careful not to close it all the way. Anyone who cleans for years can tell you that silence has species. I know them the way farmers know skies. The judge steeples his fingers. The veins in his hands stand like small roads on a map. The nameplate looks too shiny in front of him, the kind of shine you polish when people are coming over and you want them to think everything is fine. I have polished too many surfaces to trust the sheen of anything. Miles says, Ms. Quinn, what made you file K-17 instead of letting this ride? He gives me what I need, the reason the story becomes a record. Because, I say, I saw a courier listed on the loading dock sign in at 9:13 p.m. with a name that doesn't deliver to courts, L. Hartwell, and the same driver parks every morning by the prosecutor's side entrance. Because I watched Clerk Ivy Poe slide a red envelope into chambers when the docket said there would be no filings, because my job is to remove what doesn't belong. Dana's pen stops clicking. The sound of it not clicking is loud. She glances at the bench as if seeking a cue, and for the first time the judge doesn't give her one. He watches me instead, and now he looks like a man trying to remember if he locked a door. I keep my face plain and my sentences short, the way I talk when I explain to new hires why certain detergents should never mix. I could say more. I could say that sometimes I talk to my husband when I polish the rail outside this courtroom, tell him I still know the difference between a shine that's honest and a shine that's not. I could say that people have called me custodial, like it means small, and I have nodded because custodial also means keeper. But I only say, "This folder isn't pretty, Your Honor, but it's clean." In the second row, a reporter shifts, the lens cap hanging like an earring from her camera. Court reporter June squares her shoulders over the machine and looks up, eyes flicking between the judge and the page, as if measuring the space between what is said and what is meant. I take the top sheet, the one with the sticky note, and slide it down so the yellow corner peeks out. It is small, ordinary, and the only color on a table of white and black. The building hums around us. You can feel the electricity in your elbows if you've held a certain pose too long. I have. I've held a mop until my fingers forgot they were hands, and the long plastic shaft cooled my anger like a rod in water. I am not angry now. I am careful. Dana opens her mouth again, but the judge lifts a palm, and the words die obediently. The phrase he uses is not fancy. It is one word, approach. He says it to me, not to the lawyers, and the room gives a small gasp because it is not the normal order of things. I move, slow and steady, gray cartwheels whispering against the runner, blue folder balanced on the lip like a tray you don't dare tilt. When I reach the bench, I set the folder down. For a moment, our hands are inches apart, my nitrile blue, his judge white, and the smell of varnish is so strong I can taste the wood. He reaches for the cover, and it crackles. Paper always sounds louder when people are quiet. He flips the first page and stares at the photo of the wax slip with his initials. His pupils nick inward like windows catching glare. It happens in a blink, and if I hadn't lived half my life noticing what others leave behind, I might have missed it. A flinch, small as a ripple, at the sight of his own letters. His index finger lifts and settles again, as if it forgot where to rest. It is not guilt, not yet. It is fear that someone else recognizes his handwriting. I keep my face open and blank, the way polished floors mirror without judging. Behind me, the gallery exhales, and someone's chair creaks like a door deciding whether to close. I feel the nitrile tug again, and it steadies me most simply. I am here to keep things from slipping. "Proceed," Judge Keene says, voice softer than it was a minute ago, and I think of the elevator dinging 13 times for no one at all. I think of the vent scrap that waited for my coin and my courage. I think of the way a building keeps score when men forget to. He turns the page to the sticky note that reads, HVAC return vent, row C, paper scrap, 9:17 p.m. And I watch his eyes flick like a metronome between the line and my face. The prosecutor shifts, hungry to interrupt, but he doesn't give her the room. He looks only at me. "Approach," he repeats, even though I am already standing close enough to smell the hint of old coffee in his breath. So I do what cleaners do when someone points to a stain they claim not to see. I step 1 inch closer, set my finger gently on the yellow square, and wait for the truth to stick. His gaze locks on the note, the tendons in his neck draw tight, and right there, where only I can see it, Judge Harold Keene flinches. I hear the gavel fall, and the crowd shuffle out as the bailiff announces recess, and suddenly the courtroom feels empty, like a stage after the final curtain. I wheel my gray cart into the hallway, the silence stretching wide enough to carry secrets that no witness dared speak. A faint lemon cleanser tang clings to the air. Every echoing footfall behind me tugs gooseflesh up my sleeves, and the chill from the vents whispers, "Listen close." In that hush, I know more stories than anyone with a law degree. My badge pings softly against the metal readers. Each beep, a diary entry of doors opened and corridors crossed. 3B stairwell, where whispers slip under cracks. Records annex, where files sleep in drawers. Jury corridor A, where jurors pass without seeing. The logs trace my steps like a map of midnight errands, until a blink in the system shows a shred bin schedule pushed up a day before the warrant's signature. Someone moved the evidence without fingerprints. I pause at the clerk's station door to watch Ivy Poe slip a red envelope into the gasket of Chambers 3B after hours. Her face is pale, jaw tight as a trap, and she doesn't notice me slip my phone out to snap the moment. A flash catches the envelope's wax seal and Keen's initials. Judges don't sign off on red envelopes. My heart hammers, a warning drum. There's more in that chamber than law allows. A memory breaks in. Victor Rudd, our facilities manager, leaning in last week with a clipped edge to his tone. "Stay in your lane, Nora," he said when I asked why camera 12 in the judge's corridor was always under maintenance. His eyes glinted with something like guilt or fear. I remember thinking then that cameras don't break on purpose. They only fail when someone wants to hide what's near them. I tap my phone's photos of the maintenance screen, same timestamp, different days, and the pattern unfolds like footprints in fresh snow. Each error is timed for meetings that never show in public records. I scroll to the wax order receipt, crisp paper stamped with Keen's initials on a floor close-out slip, and think, judges don't sign for wax. This isn't incompetence, it's a cover-up. Behind the sealed vent covers and misplaced envelopes, I find a folded elevator diagnostics printout tucked in my cart's side pocket, HK0419. It looks ordinary until you know 0419 is the date the ex parte motion was filed, a day before it appeared on the docket. I slip the printout into my folder, careful as a surgeon stitching a wound, feeling both dread and triumph. I'm nearly at the records door when my cartwheel squeals, a rusty cry slicing the dark. I freeze, pulse chasing the echo down the corridor. Then I hear it, a breath, low and deliberate, on the other side of the darkened records door. My name isn't called, but I feel it settles on my spine like a verdict. What happens now? I prop myself on the step stool in row C of the record's HVAC return, heart thudding as I unclip a jagged scrap of paper lodged between the vent slats. Dust stings my nostrils, and I taste metal on my tongue while the rasp of the vent cover grates against my glove. In that moment, I realize I found something no lawyer knows exists. The scrap bears half a header, ex par, and a looping signature tail that reads DW. My breath hitches. This fragment looks like an unfiled ex parte motion, the kind that should never see daylight before a judge's rubber stamp. I flip it over. The date is stamped one day before the motion even hit the official docket. My pulse races as I bag it in a biohazard sleeve, chain of custody, my way of proving I didn't plant it. Cleaners get those sleeves for spills, but evidence is a kind of spill too, needing careful handling. I tuck the bag into my apron pocket, reminding myself to label it as soon as I'm off shift. Clerk Ivy Poe drifts past, whispering into her sleeve, "She's looking." Her eyes flick to me, wide and worried, as if she's torn between loyalty and fear. I nod once, silent thanks, and inch away, the corridor lights humming above like anxious witnesses. At the loading dock, Miles Cutter intercepts me. "If you're right," he says quietly, tone half cheer, half warning, "you'll make enemies with keys." He admires my resolve but fears the fallout. I meet his gaze and slip him a glance of steel. I've already counted the costs. My phone buzzes with camera stills of the loading dock sign-in. Courier L. Hartwell at 9:13 p.m., though the courthouse closes at 8. I print the blurry image and compare it to the dock cam still. The silhouette matches Prosecutor Wells's driver. Patterns turn into proof if you know where to look. I steady myself against the cool wall, breathing through the adrenaline. A flashback paints Victor Rudd's veiled threat. "Stay in your lane, Nora," he told me when I questioned Camera 12's nightly maintenance. His guilt was written in the hard set of his shoulders, and now I hold evidence to back it up. As I slip the photo into my blue folder, my cartwheel squeals on the polished tile. I freeze. Every instinct screams danger, then hear it. A slow, deliberate breath on the other side of the darkened records door. My fingers tighten on the folder's edge, and I turn to see Victor Rudd appear in the doorway. "Give me the scrap, Nora," he says, voice low but certain. "That's court property." I slip into the cramped supply room, and the door thuds shut behind me, only to be blocked by Victor Rudd's boot. His smile gleams under the harsh fluorescence, but it never reaches his eyes. The bleach tang hangs heavy, and the dispenser's rubbery breath presses in my face. A soft click echoes as his badge taps the metal shelf, a warning that this space is his territory. He calls me family in a tone that feels like duct tape suffocating a crack in the wall. I swallow the sudden ache in my chest. I've known him too long for this to be casual kindness. Then he waves a termination form across my line of sight, the HR signature scrawled and dated today. My heart stutters, but I steady it with purpose. Paperwork can't silence what walls whisper. I lift the wax order slip from my apron pocket and lay it on the counter. Keen's initials scrawled at the bottom in fresh ink. Victor's swagger falters, just a flicker in his posture. His voice dips when I ask, "Why's Camera 12 always under maintenance when Dana Wells stays late?" He shifts, gaze sliding to the dispenser. He shrugs as if testing words on his tongue. "She had to prep for the Chambers consult," he says. The slip of his voice betrays him. Judges don't hold private consults with one side. My pulse hammers. I slide my phone under the shelf lip and press record. The AA battery light glints in his eye without him noticing. Victor's shoulders tighten, and he drops a ring of duplicate keys onto the shelf with a heavy clatter. I catch one engraved 3BO before it can hit the floor. My fingers close around it, the cool metal a promise of proof. He watches me pick it up, lips thinning for a second, then forces a laugh that sounds brittle as old plastic. I press my thumb to the termination form, flattening its corner against the ragged edge of my apron. "I thought family helped each other," I say softly, voice even but firm. His eyes dart away. Guilt flickers there like a lamp about to burn out, and I realize he always knew how close I'd get. Before I can ask another question, the fire alarm chirps, not the blare of a real alarm, but the test ping that echoes through these walls once a month. Victor's jaw snaps shut. He hisses, "You didn't hear that," then stuffs the keys into his pocket. But one tumbles from his fist and clinks at my feet, the only sound in the sudden hush. I look down at the fallen key, then back at Victor's tightening grip on the dispenser. The test alarm has passed, but the silence that follows is heavier than any siren. He steps toward the door, backlit by the hallway's glare, and pauses, unsteady for the first time. I kneel to pick up the 3BO key, the ring warm from his touch, and slip it into my apron as proof. Victor's silhouette dissolves into the corridor, leaving me alone with the bleach smell and secrets. My cart waits outside, the path to the records door darker than before. As I wheel my cart forward, my phone buzzes with Miles's message. "Vault cam footage ready. Meet me before midnight." I swallow, chest tight. Tonight, nothing will stay hidden. I slip the 3BO key into the lock at exactly 12:04 a.m., and it gives like a held breath. The door swings open on silent hinges, revealing velvet curtains hanging heavy in the glow of a single desk lamp. A faint cigar ghost drifts among the shadows, and I pause, heart pricking with both fear and relief. This room knows secrets. Tonight, it's telling mine. The desk wears a wet ring of coffee staining a manila folder stamped pre-hearing memo, Wells, dated one day before the official filing. The citrus polish on the desk still gleams under the lamp, too fresh to be honest. I lean in, noticing the hush that seems to inhale every sound, as if the walls have ears. Even my breath feels too loud. I flip open the memo and spot a footer referencing Affidavit 4592, sealed, a number that never appeared on any docket I've seen. My pulse ticks faster. This is proof that motions moved in the dark. I run my gloved finger under the header and find a subtle indent on the blotter pad beneath. Ex parte okayed, HK. The initials sting like salt. Behind a row of law books, I find a USB stick labeled Custody Door JOXLS. My hands tremble as I pocket it, knowing this file links badges to unauthorized door entries. I step back and snap photos of the desk before and after adjustments, making sure the angles match the original. If anyone questions my claim, this evidence will speak in images. In the corner, a leather-bound recusal form template peeks between volumes. Judge Keene's initials half sketched at the top, never filed. I tuck that into my apron, too, the paper's edge brushing my palm like a promise. Each item I gather builds the truth no one asked me to find. This room's trust is fragile. I handle it with care. A sudden creak makes me freeze. The lamp flickers, and I think I imagined it, until the private elevator humming starts. The sound is low and mechanical, a summons I cannot ignore. My phone's light trembles as I check my photos, making sure I didn't miss anything vital. Victor's threats echo in my mind. Stay in your lane. I crouch behind the desk, listening as the hum grows closer. My cart waits outside, heavy with cleaning supplies I no longer need. This moment feels like standing on a blade's edge. One wrong move, and I'm caught. I press my back against the wall, trying to steady my breath against the looming elevator doors. My phone buzzes, a text from Miles. File received. Proceed with caution. I let out a slow breath, grateful for his watchful eye. I slide the USB into my pocket and make a silent vow. No more hiding. The courtroom will see what I've uncovered, and the silence will break. The lamp clicks as its bulb wavers. The room's hush tightens around me. I glance at the desk one last time. Coffee ring, blotter indent, affidavit number, recusal form, all arranged like a confession waiting to be read. I know this evidence will cost me safety, but it will cost the court's corruption more. The elevator doors part with a soft sigh, and I catch the flicker of polished shoes stepping onto the carpet. I gather my courage, tuck my apron under the desk, and step into the light. The player in this game isn't just a judge tonight, it's every person who thinks power grants them silence. As the doors close behind me, the elevator hum fades, and I realize the lamp has gone dark, leaving only my phone's glow and the knowledge that the judge knows I'm here. I slip behind the heavy velvet curtains as Judge Keene enters his private office, loosening his tie with a sigh and murmuring to himself, "It's handled." He presses a button on the intercom and says, "She's just a cleaner. Dana, relax." His tone dismissive enough that the walls seem to echo. My heart thuds against my ribs, then steadies. I have his exact words, courtesy of my phone's recorder. The moment feels electric. I've captured the admission that turns speculation into proof. He strides to a mahogany desk and slides open the top drawer, the wood creaking like a groan of guilt. In one swift motion, he stamps a new warrant with a flourish, backdated by 1 day, and tucks it into a folder. The stamp's red ink gleams under the desk lamp, a glaring lie hiding in plain sight. My finger hovers over the phone's screen, ready to freeze this moment forever. My first instinct is to burst in and expose him, make him swallow every false word, but a text from Miles buzzes in my pocket. "Do not engage. Bring it to me." I slip away as quietly as I arrived, clutching the USB stick and printed photos against my chest like a lifeline. The stairwell's concrete walls press cool through my thin shirt, the rough metal handrail brushing my palm as I descend. Outside, rain-wet air gusts under the door, chilling the back of my neck and wiping the false warmth from my skin. I reach for my phone to email the files to myself for safekeeping, but the attachments bounce back, flagged as administrative attachments. My blood runs cold. The system I trusted has turned on me. The realization stings. Someone inside wields the filters and knows exactly what I'm hiding. I press the USB stick into my palm, feeling its slight warmth, proof it was recently accessed. The heat feels like a pulse, confirming the data inside is fresh and dangerous. I glance up at the courthouse windows, the yellow lights reflecting off slick sidewalks, and remember Victor's warning that some secrets come with a price. For a moment, I let myself believe I've outsmarted them all. My phone vibrates again. A terse notification flashes. System alert. Badge 2021 locked. Report to security. My badge number, 2221, lights up the screen like a flashing alarm. They've frozen me out of the building's digital records, cutting off my only safe exit. I realize that the night's supposed victory has turned on me, trapping me in a web far more dangerous than I ever imagined. As the rain hammers on the pavement, I stand alone in the darkened lobby, phone in one hand and the USB in the other, knowing they've just declared me the suspect, and I have no idea who they really are. Security collars me in the lobby just as I step off the elevators, 2 guards flanking my cart under harsh fluorescence. I ask for a union rep. They stall with practiced politeness, ticking minutes off my patience. The coffee machine gurgles behind me, umbrellas drip in the rack, and the antiseptic glare makes every surface gleam like evidence. I realize I'm no longer an ally. They've already decided my role here. A guard leans close and whispers, "Check your locker. They were there earlier." My stomach knots. Who is they? I swipe my badge and open the locker to find a sealed envelope taped inside. My name is scrawled across the front. Nora. If you're reading this, we're out of time. Ivy. I rip it open like a surgeon's first incision. Inside are photocopies of late-night visitor logs, entries for Chambers 3B at 9:13, all signed DW. I force myself to breathe, feeling both dread and relief in equal measure. Ivy Poe appears at my side by the vending machine, pale and trembling. "I just couldn't stay silent," she says, voice hushed. Her hands shake so badly the nuts and bolts in her grip rattle. She confirms the logs are real, Dana Wells's initials on each entry. Seeing her guilt makes me ache. She risked everything to give me proof. I press Ivy for more. She bites her lip, glancing toward the hallway. "He promised Ruth a clerkship if she kept quiet," she whispers. Ruth Hart, our jury clerk, was annotating dockets when she saw the logs. That name jumps off the page now, a missing puzzle piece aligning the conspiracy. We sketch a plan fast, hand off the envelope and logs to Miles at 7:20 a.m. in the jury parking lot where camera coverage is spotty. Ivy will distract security by triggering the east exit alarm. I'll bring the evidence and my card as cover. Tools and cleaning supplies don't draw suspicion. Ivy turns to slip away, determination replacing fear in her eyes. But before she can vanish, Victor Rudd comes barging around the corner, face as hard as marble. He spots Ivy and says, "Ms. Poe, the judge needs you, now." His tone brooks no refusal. Our exit plan just slammed into an immovable object. Ivy stops mid-step, pale lips parting. The unopened envelope trembles in her hand as Victor's gaze pins her in place, and I know our window is closing fast. Is this the end of our cleanup, or just the moment before everything spills out? Daylight edges the tall windows as Miles crouches beside my mop cart, plugging the USB into his laptop with a practiced flick. The hallway hums softly around us, morning sounds muted by carpeted corridors, while I hold my breath, watching the screen come alive. The spreadsheet loads custody.door.xls, its table columns listing door ID, badge number, username, and timestamp. Each row feels like an accusation whispered in a crowd, too clear to ignore. I lean closer, heart thumping. A line scrolls into view. Chambers 3B, badge 744, D. Wells, 10:02 p.m., repeated for 3 consecutive nights. That's Judge Keene's private office, opened by Prosecutor Wells herself, an impossible loop of access. My pulse spikes at the proof. I tug my apron pocket for Ivy's visitor logs and align them on Miles's desk. The timestamps match 10:02 p.m. exactly. 3 nights, 3 unauthorized entries. Ivy's shaky handwriting fills the margins, her guilt now a concrete line connecting data to truth. Switching tabs, I click on Purge and discover a list of shred bin routes moved up by 24 hours. Each bin is scheduled just before those chamber visits. It's not a coincidence, it's a preemptive cover-up. My stomach tightens at the pattern. Outside, tires hiss on wet asphalt as a delivery van passes, the echo carried through the open bay door. An espresso cart wheels by, the hiss of steam punctuating my thought, and a cold gust of wind snakes through the corridor, making my jacket flutter like a signal flag. Miles prints the screenshots, rows of data and timestamps, and I mark each with my initials and a crisp timestamp, NQ show 07:42 a.m. These aren't just pixels, they are a timeline I can stake my name on, evidence that can't be erased. He rubs his chin. They'll argue administrative access, he says, voice low. We need the original purge order, the signed document that changed the schedule. Without it, they'll claim normal procedure. I nod, knowing we have one more piece to find. My phone vibrates in my apron pocket. I pull it free. Ruth Hart texts. They're in chambers now, doors locked. My breath catches. If they're in there, searching or destroying, our window is closing faster than we thought. I glance at Miles. His jaw tightens. He shuts the laptop lid. We move now, he whispers. He tucks the flash drive into his breast pocket and hands me the printed sheets. My fingers curl around the paper like a lifeline. We head for the back door, footsteps muffled by the carpet's hushed welcome. Every corner feels watched. Floors that cleaned up secrets now guide me toward a bigger one. The spreadsheet's rows justify each hurried step. In the distance, a siren wails. Construction crew testing alarms? Or someone sounding a real alert? My heart stutters as we slip beneath the jury services sign, 2 cloak and dagger figures with the law's own papers in hand. As we round the corner to Chambers 3B, I hear keys rattling inside. I glance at Miles, whose eyes flash with the same mix of fear and resolve I feel. The spreadsheet proved their guilt. Now it's time to secure the purge order before everything disappears. We arrive at the heavy oak door and find the inner lock engaged. A light under the jamb shows movement inside. Miles knocks once, 2 knocks, and a voice growls, "Who's there?" My pulse pounds. It's the moment of truth. I slip into the stairwell and find Ruth Hart pressed against the damp concrete wall, her breath misting in the cold air. She's shaking, gripping a bright red envelope as though it were a lifeline. The tinny ring of the emergency phone down the hall echoes hollowly, and every drip from the ceiling overhead feels like a heartbeat counting down. "Ruth," I whisper, voice steady despite the storm inside me. She looks up, eyes wide, and unfolds the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside is a draft recusal letter detailing Judge Keene's conflict. His brother sits on the board of the defendant company. The header is hand-typed, the signature line empty, but ominous. Her voice cracks as she confesses. He promised me a clerkship if I ran his personal drops, his private documents, through my access. The betrayal sharpens the chill in my spine. I wrap an arm around her shoulders, leaning in close. "You do now," I say quietly. "Help me end it." Ruth flips to the back page and gasps. There, in the margin, are DW's initials with a note. Ex parte summary attached. It's the final piece, proving Dana Wells knew the judge's secret and kept it hidden. The weight of her admission tumbles between us like loose papers. We hurry to the jury services copier, our steps urgent but measured on the metal stairs. The machine hums a welcome, and I press copy on the envelope, careful not to leave fingerprints. The screen flashes our user ID, hers confirming neither of us is the culprit. My heart hammer beats the rhythm of risk and resolve. Miles's voice crackles through my earpiece. "If we tie Keene to the purge order, I can force an immediate hearing. Keep moving." His confidence steadies me like a hand on my back. I finish copying and stuff the originals into my apron, the red envelope now replaced by crisp duplicates. We slip out the back door into the drizzle. The courthouse facade glimmers under streetlights, the storm outside echoing the chaos in our heads. Ruth's face is pale but determined. The clerkship dream lies shattered, but her courage is reborn in this moment. Suddenly, Ruth's phone rings. The caller ID flashes, "Chambers!" She swallows hard and glances at me before answering. The line goes dead mid-ring, and I hear the faint click of a locked door. A wave of dread crashes over me. They know we're here. I grab Ruth's arm and pull her toward the jury parking lot. "Miles is waiting," I say, voice urgent. Each step is a promise to right what's been wronged. In the echo of that dead ring, I wonder how many doors have closed behind us and which ones might open if we're too late. As we round the corner, the jury lot lights fade and a single figure steps out of the shadows. Dana Wells, phone in hand, eyes fixed on ours, blocking our path forward. I roll my cart into the facilities office, the door swinging open on hinges that creak like a confession. Victor Rudd is nowhere in sight, but the desk remains, a silent witness. Desks tell the truth if you know how to read their drawers. I press my palm to the worn edge and breathe in the toner's sharp scent as the old scanner hums in the corner. The copier light flickers above me, illuminating the grid of copy paper flakes beneath my fingertips. I slide open the top drawer and find Work Order 4813, a yellow slip typed with cold efficiency. Advance shred pickup for Courtroom 3. Reason? Sanitation. Signed, H. Keene. A judge's signature on a sanitation order is as out of place as a tuxedo at a barn dance. My pulse quickens as I lift the paper and trace the signature. The pen lift pattern matches the blotter impression I photographed in Chambers, same loop, same flourish. I tuck the order into my apron pocket like proof of betrayal. Next, I pull the courier log from beneath a stack of inspection reports. My eyes climb the columns until I see it. L. Hartwell listed again at 9:13 p.m., the same phantom arrival time. Beside it, a cramped note stamped Wells in the margin. The prosecutor's name marked each secret delivery. I feel a surge of vindication. I load the work order and log on to the scanner, hesitating only a moment before emailing the PDF packet to Miles Cutter and my own secure account. This time, the attachments sail through. No security filters to stop them. My chest eases. I've bypassed their digital fortress. Suddenly, the office door creaks open. Victor steps in, eyes narrowing at the open drawer and scattered papers. His face is stone, lips pressed thin. Without a word, he strides forward and murmurs, "You're not walking this upstairs?" His tone brooks no argument. He expects compliance. My throat tightens as he reaches for the printouts. The stakes sharpen like the edge of a blade. I weigh my options in heartbeats, hand them over and watch the evidence vanish, or take a desperate leap. Fear roars, but resolve steadies me. In one smooth motion, I yank the nearest red fire alarm, lever on the wall beside the door. The alarm shrills its piercing cry, shattering the office's calm. Victor's hand freezes mid-reach, eyes widening in shock and fury. Lights flash, sprinklers click into readiness, and the building's PA crackles. "Attention! Fire alarm test!" But this is no test. Staff and security rush into the office, drawn by the clamor. Victor reels, his authority drowned in chaos. I grab my cart handle and step back into the corridor, heart pounding. The evidence is still clutched in my apron, safe for now. Chambers' secrets will see daylight yet, if I can survive the storm I've unleashed. As alarms echo down the hall, I spot a figure at the far end. Judge Keene, rushing toward us, tie askew, eyes wild. The truth is out, and now he's coming for me. The fire alarm howls like a wounded animal, and courthouse doors burst open as people flood into the corridor, phones raised like torches. In that surge, I spot a sea of screens, each person's face lit by the glow of truth's messenger. This isn't a drill, it's a reckoning. Floodlights from the sprinklers cast a damp sheen on every shoulder, and the strobe wash of emergency fixtures paints hurried faces in high contrast. The scent of chlorine-laden water mingles with the antiseptic lobby glare, and shoes slap against tile in a frantic rhythm. I grip my mop cart's handle, heart pounding, and thread through the crowd. I slip the work order 48-113 into Miles's hand. He tucks it under his arm and strides toward Judge Keen's courtroom with determined purpose. I turn just in time to see Prosecutor Wells fumble for her phone, fingers shaking so badly the screen wobbles. She taps call chambers and goes silent, the alley of silent air signaling no answer. Panic flickers in her eyes. Beside me, Ivy Poe presses herself against the wall, pale as plaster. She leans close and whispers, "He's going to bury me for this." The words slip from her lips in a shudder. I squeeze her hand, voice soft but unyielding. "Not if we're louder," reminding her that a chorus drowns out even the deepest graves. I scan the bench as the hallway hums with urgency. Bailiff Trent bends to retrieve a thumb drive from the corner of the bench, his movements too calculated to be accidental. I note the angle of his reach and the way he tucks it into his pocket. That drive could hold the ex parte motions themselves. Abruptly, the alarm cuts off, and a deputy's voice breaks over the PA. "All personnel, emergency hearing called in courtroom 3B, 10 minutes. The corridor hushes in an exhale. People clutch phones, folders, rosaries, whatever they hold dear, prepared for what comes next. Then the doors at the end of the hall burst open. Judge Keen strides in, robes flaring behind him. His gaze settles on me and my blue K-17 folder, narrowing like a hawk's. The crowd parts in a ripple, and for a heartbeat, I stand alone amid the storm I've summoned. He pauses before me, voice low, but carrying across the tiled floor. "Ms. Quinn, you've unleashed something you can't control." Ms. Quinn empties trash, Donna Wells sneers as the court record resumes, her voice dripping with contempt. She can't authenticate anything. A press photographer's flash pops behind her, and the dry rasp of a microphone crackles as I steady my hands on the cold varnish edge of the witness stand. Every polished surface feels like it's asking, "Who do you think you are?" I swallow past the tremor in my throat and begin my testimony. Your Honor, I present badge logs showing Chambers 3B entries by badge 744, Donna Wells's badge, on dates not authorized. Here are camera maintenance duplicates proving camera 12 was under repair during those times. This USB door spreadsheet ties badge numbers to door IDs, and this advanced shred work order, signed by H. Keen, moved the bin pickup to bury records. I tap the files in front of me, photos, timestamps, my initials scrawled on each. A hush washes over the courtroom. I feel every pair of eyes sharpen as Miles Cutter rises and crosses to the defense table, pulling out the bright red envelope we recovered. He places it before the bench and the judge. Inside is the recusal draft outlining Judge Keen's conflict. His brother is on the defendant's board. The paper stands like a banner of proof. Judge Keen's mouth thins into a tense line. He raps his gavel so hard the wood rings. "Ms. Hart," he orders, turning to Ruth Hart in the front row. "Explain why you have this document." Ruth stands, face pale, and lifts her voice. "Because Your Honor gave it to Dana Wells to hold," she says, shock and betrayal lacing each word. The courtroom exhales in a collective gasp. Court reporter June leans forward, pen poised, and asks, "Would the witness please repeat that statement?" She looks directly at Judge Keen instead of Ruth, silently insisting he pay attention. The shift is electric. Everyone senses the judge's growing unease. Donna's face drains of color as she realizes the weapon she wielded has pierced her own side. Keen's hand trembles on the gavel before he strikes again. "We will recess," he says curtly, avoiding my eyes. The fault line in his composure is clear. I step down from the stand, heart pounding. Around me, court staff shuffle papers and murmur. I catch Miles's eye. He nods once, firm and steady. Outside the courtroom doors, a hush falls. I feel the weight of every camera lens burning a hole in my back. As I gather my folder, a reporter sidles up and whispers in my ear, tone urgent and low. "Off the record, the state AG just walked in." My breath stalls. The stakes have escalated beyond a courtroom dispute. This has become a matter for the highest authority. I pause at the threshold, folder clutched against my chest. Every step I've taken, through corridors, vents, and supply closets, has led to this moment. The label "just the cleaner" is gone, replaced by something sharper. The witness who changed the case. I step into the hallway and see the Attorney General slip past the deputies, eyes fixed on the judge's chambers. The real trial is about to begin. I stand in the antiseptic glow of the hallway as Ivy Poe presses a crisp envelope into my hand. It's her resignation, every line notarized in her trembling script. "I won't lie anymore," she whispers, voice soft but unbreakable. My heart clenches. Her courage steels mine for the final strike. The corridor hums with the copier's mechanical whine, the air sharp with cleaning agents. A dried coffee stain tackles the rail at my elbow, sticky under my fingers as I grip it for steadiness. Beyond the half-open doors, I hear the low murmur of Bailiff Trent leaning in close to Dana Wells. He says, "The AG's team wants Chambers 3B contents now." Dana's composure fractures. Her practiced calm cracks to reveal genuine fear. I taste it in the stale air, that metallic tang of panic. The conveyor of evidence has become an avalanche, and she sees it coming. Miles Cutter steps beside me, whispering, "We need one more piece. Why the judge moved the shred." His eyes flicker to my apron pocket, then back. I close my fist over the blotter impression I photographed. Ex parte okayed HK. The memory of the indent under the paper sends a thrill through me. We slip into a side alcove and line the blotter photo against the backdated warrant we printed earlier. The ink flow pattern dances in perfect lockstep. Each drop and run matches the blotter's smear. Justice tastes like proof, cold but undeniable. I lean closer to Miles. "There's more," I say. "The judge's desk stamp ribbon has that unique skip I captured." I tap my phone screen, showing the ribbon photo, an accidental signature in the machine's lifeblood. He nods, eyes bright with resolve. Suddenly, the hallway doors swing open, and Attorney General Sinclair enters, the hush trailing behind him like a shadow. He spots me, strides forward, and asks, "Ms. Quinn, do you have anything else?" His voice carries the weight of every law beneath his badge. I hold Ivy's letter in one hand and my folder of matched evidence in the other. The phones in the pockets of onlookers light up again, each person ready to record the moment when a cleaner becomes the architect of truth. A hush ripples through the corridor as I step forward, feeling every pair of eyes turning toward me. My voice is a quiet thunder. "Yes," I say, sliding the blotter impression and warrant across the AG's desk. "There's the order to hide the ex parte motion, signed by Judge Keene, and the proof his own stamp can't erase." The papers lie between us, a line drawn in ink and courage. The AG studies the documents, lips set in thought. Behind him, the judge's chambers stand dark, no hiding place big enough for this truth. I think of every night I cleaned these halls, every door I unlocked, every vent I peeled open to find the story beneath. When the AG nods, it feels like winter breaking into spring. He taps the warrant and looks at me, sharp but appreciative. "You've done well," he says. "We'll take it from here." I feel the weight lifted, but the corridor remains heavy with the silence of witnesses. Ivy presses my hand, eyes wet. Miles gives me a small, tight smile. I adjust my apron and slip the photo ribbon back into my pocket, proof that even machines can't erase human will. As the AG calls for officers to secure Chambers 3B, I glance at the cleaning cart waiting by the doors. Tonight, it carried more than supplies. It carried the cleaner who cleaned up a cover-up. I step into the crowd of law enforcement and journalists, folder in hand. My steps echo off the marble like a verdict. Standing in the press swarm, I wonder, if a single cleaner's honesty can undo a judge's secret, what other truths lie waiting in the shadows of familiar halls? I step forward and place the blue K-17 Facilities Incident Report on the bench, fingers steady despite the tension. This is my lane, my rules. The courtroom hush drops like a blackout curtain. Every eye fixes on the plain folder that carries the building's unspoken truths. Inside, the report chronicles: false alarm triggered in the 3B corridor, camera 12 marked offline, and the auxiliary lock forced open at 0041, all while my badge pinged in records A. It's a timeline crafted by a cleaner who knows every corridor by heart. I let the facts lie in the open. I slide the maintenance photograph across the bench, an imprint on the blotter reading Ex parte okayed, HK. Next, I laid the advanced shred work order, signed by H. Keene, shifting the pickup 24 hours before anyone could notice. The judge's initials on a sanitation order are a confession written in ink. Then I add the USB spreadsheet, its columns now printed and annotated, showing badge 744, Dana Wells's, unlocking chambers 3B after hours on 3 separate nights. Each entry locks the pattern: access without authority, evidence buried before it could see daylight. The Attorney General drops a recusal draft beside my report, its header detailing Judge Keene's conflict, his brother on the defendant's board. The papers form a gauntlet: procedural missteps, secret sessions, destroyed records, and family ties that should have recused him long ago. The room is silent except for a dry click, court reporter June's keys clicking to a stop. A faint electric hum from the bench lights underscores the weight of the moment. You could hear a pin drop on polished tile. Judge Keene opens his mouth once, then closes it. A second time, he swallows a defense before it forms. The silence he chooses speaks louder than any objection. Even Dana Wells's shoulders slump, her earlier confidence kneaded away by undeniable proof. A final clue emerges without a word: the floor wax slip bearing HK's initials, the same flourish I saw in the blotter impression. It proves he was physically present to authorize sanitation, not a distant signature, but a hands-on cover-up. The slip's glossy surface catches the light like a silent witness. I step back, the blue folder resting at the judge's elbow. The AG stands, voice soft but firm. Your Honor, we move for immediate recusal and referral for criminal review. The words hang in the air like thunder. No objection follows. The judge's gaze flicks to his bench, his recusal draft, and then to the courtroom doors where reporters lean forward. He nods once, barely perceptible, and reaches for the gavel, tapping it not to restore order, but to pass the torch of truth. As the courtroom convulses with the shift of power, I feel the weight of every mop handle and every unassuming key I've ever carried. Tonight, the cleaner cleaned up the corruption. Standing in the hush that follows, I wonder, if the smallest player in the system can unearth the deepest secrets, what other stories lie hidden in plain sight? Share your thoughts below, because sometimes the truth deserves a cleaner hand to sweep away the lies. Weeks later, I'm back in the same hallway under softer fluorescent lights. The reporters have gone, and for the first time since the scandal broke, the building seems to breathe again. I push my cart slowly over the tile, each pass smoothing out dust that caught the glare of cameras not long ago. The quiet feels like a reward. Warm dust drifts in the morning sun that slants through the high windows. My cartwheel squeaks that familiar melody. I never oil it, the reminder of work left undone. And I grip the cool metal handle, thinking how every dent and nick in its frame tells its own story of long nights and hidden truths. The public reckoning played out exactly as it should. Judge Keene resigned, Dana Wells was charged, Ivy Poe testified without fear, and Ruth Hart earned her honest clerkship. The court held. Justice didn't break the building. It restored it. That afternoon, the Attorney General's office sent me a letter. Your report established the chain the law needed. Thank you for your service. I framed it and hung it beside my union card in the supply closet, side by side like badges of honor. One for the union I belonged to, one for the truth I upheld. I think of my husband, who trusted me to keep our world steady, even when he was gone. He believed that steady work kept us fed and grounded. I looked down at the floor I've kept clean all these years and realized floors mirror truths if you bother to look down instead of up. They called me just the cleaner, but the building trusted me to notice what others overlooked. I wasn't just emptying trash. I was guarding the record of every midnight alarm, every forced door, every hidden file. I leave the blue K-17 copy in my locker, tucked behind my jacket, so the next person with a key knows lanes are for cowards when justice is at stake. I pause in the empty corridor and whisper to the walls, "Did you hear how quiet the judge got?" The only answer is the softest hum of the building settling back into itself, proof that a single cleaner's honesty can still a room. If Nora's story showed you that even the most ordinary among us can uncover extraordinary truths, let that spark linger. Like this video, if you believe courage can come from unexpected places, share it with someone who needs hope that honesty matters, and subscribe to our channel for more real-life dramas where everyday heroes change the world, one uncovered secret at a time. What would you risk to bring hidden corruption into the light? Let me know in the comments below.